Hey, welcome. Today we are diving into a really powerful leadership framework called the Cognitive Captain. And it's all about tackling what is, without a doubt, the toughest battlefield any leader will ever face, the one that's right inside your own head.
This quote right here, it just cuts straight to the core of the whole thing. The central idea is that before you can even think about leading other people, you have to get a handle on your own thinking. Why? Because these little systematic errors in how our brains work, they're the hidden source of most leadership failures. So that brings us to a pretty shocking idea, right? Your brain is basically lying to you. And this isn't about intelligence. Even the most brilliant, most experienced leaders out there are prone to making the same predictable mistakes. Not because they're not smart, but because of the way our brains are hardwired. I want you to think about it like this. Your brain is using a faulty compass. It feels like it's pointing north, it feels right, but little by little, it's systematically steering you off course. See, our brains use these mental shortcuts to get through the day, and while they're useful, over time, they can lead to some really big errors in judgment. Okay, so if we're going to fight back, we have to know what we're up against. And the source material for this has this awesome metaphor, a two-headed dragon. And this dragon represents the two main types of mental mistakes that can completely sabotage a leader. So let's break down these two heads, shall we? On one side, you've got what are called strategic blind spots. You might know them as cognitive biases. These are those faulty mental shortcuts that mess with your big picture strategic decisions. Then, on the other side, you've got thought traps or cognitive distortions. These are the irrational thought patterns that mess with your internal world, driving anxiety and chipping away at your confidence. The takeaway is simple. One head sabotages your strategy and the other one sabotages you. Let's take a look at a classic strategic blind spot, confirmation bias. This is basically the echo chamber effect in action. Let's say you're a leader and you have a new strategy you absolutely love. This bias makes you unconsciously hunt for every piece of data that screams, you're a genius, while, conveniently ignoring all the red flags waving in your face saying, hey, this is a terrible idea. And here's a thought trap that I think we can all relate to, especially now with so much remote work. It's called mind reading. You know the drill. Your colleague sends you a one-word email, and your brain instantly leaps to, oh my gosh, they think I'm an idiot, right? This trap just fuels anxiety and can totally poison team communication, and it's all based on a made-up story you told yourself. So you might be thinking, these little errors sound kind of small, but what happens when they go unchecked at the very top of a company? Well, the cost isn't just a bad afternoon or one little mistake. It can be absolutely catastrophic for the entire organization. And this case study, wow, it just perfectly illustrates the danger. After World War II, the CEO of Montgomery Ward had this powerful belief: a huge depression was coming, just like it did after World War I. That's a cognitive error, assuming the past will just repeat itself. So based on that flawed assumption, he decided not to expand the company. Meanwhile, his rival Sears went all in. The consequence? Montgomery Ward never recovered. They lost their market share, permanently. One single mental error led to the downfall of a giant. Okay, that was a little grim. We've seen the problem, we've seen the very real danger, but now we get to the good part, the solution. We're going to look at a fantastic, really practical toolkit for how you can start fighting back against your own flawed thinking. And the foundation for this whole toolkit, the one skill you need to develop, is this: metacognition. It sounds complicated, but it's not. It's simply the skill of thinking about your thinking. It's about taking a step back, looking at your automatic thoughts, and just asking yourself, wait a minute, is this thought actually true? That little bit of distance, that's where all your power is. And here's how you actually do it. It's a formal process called cognitive restructuring, and it's a simple 4-step loop. First, you just notice, you catch that negative automatic thought. Second, you give it a name. You identify the distortion. You say, oh, okay, that's mind reading again. Third, you dispute it. You argue with it like a lawyer, looking for cold, hard evidence. And finally, you replace it with something more balanced and rational. Now, a really powerful way to dispute your thoughts is with something called Socratic inquiry. It's like putting your own thoughts on the witness stand. And the first question you ask is this: what objective evidence, what concrete proof do I have that supports this belief? This immediately pulls you out of your feelings and forces you to look at the facts. Next up, you have to do something that can feel a little unnatural. You have to play devil's advocate against yourself. You ask what data, what facts actually contradict this thought. This question is so important because it forces you to see the nuance, the shades of gray, instead of just accepting that black and white negative story. And finally, this one is my favorite. It's the best friend test. We are so much harder on ourselves than we are on anyone else, right? So you just ask, what would I tell my best friend if they were in this exact situation? And boom, you instantly tap into a more compassionate, more realistic, and more helpful part of your own brain. It's an amazing little hack.
So you've started to get a handle on your own mind. That's huge. But the real end game for the cognitive captain is to scale this skill across your entire organization. And that means your role has to evolve, from being the captain who barks orders to being the coach who develops their players. This is a massive shift in how we think about leadership. Your job isn't to be the hero who rides in with all the right answers anymore. Instead, your job is to be a cognitive coach. It's about using those same high-quality questions we just talked about to help your team challenge their own thinking and find even better answers for themselves. And please, don't think this is just some soft skill. It has a real, measurable, life-or-death impact. Get this. The source cites a study where a physician created a safe space where doctors could openly discuss their mistakes without fear of blame. The result? A 12% reduction in patient mortality. Think about that. Creating psychological safety, literally, saves lives. All of this leads us to our final, really aspirational goal. See, the point isn't just to fix problems as they pop up. The point is to build what's called a vital organization, one that is constantly learning, adapting, and renewing itself from the inside out. So what does one of these vital organizations actually look like? Well, trust and respect are the foundation of everything. Leaders don't just say people are important, they truly believe they're indispensable. The values on the wall are actually how people behave every day. And that coaching culture we talked about, it's tied directly to getting amazing results. At the end of the day, the organization has the ability to constantly reinvent itself. This quote from the philosopher Henri Frédéric Emile just perfectly sums up this entire journey. The whole point, whether we're talking about a single person or a huge company, is to never stop growing. That ability to learn, to adapt, to renew yourself, that is the very definition of being alive. So I'll leave you with one final question to think about. After everything we've talked about today, from that faulty compass in your own mind to this mandate for constant renewal, I want you to really ask yourself, is your organization truly a living being?